warm evening when a group of friends gathered at Emily's old Victorian house. The dim light of flickering candles cast eerie shadows on the walls as they huddled around a wooden table. Among the artifacts spread before them was an old, weathered Ouija board. Curiosity mingled with trepidation in their eyes as they contemplated the forbidden game they were about to play. The stories they had heard about Ouija boards only fueled their intrigue. Emily's great-grandmother, who had owned the house, was rumored to have dabbled in the occult. The room itself seemed to hold an air of mystery, and the group was determined to uncover its secrets. Amid nervous laughter, they placed their fingers lightly on the planchette and began to ask questions. The room fell silent as they watched the planchette glide over the letters, spelling out responses. At first, the messages seemed innocuous: a name, a date, fragments of words. But as they continued, the tone shifted and the responses grew unsettling. "Who are you?" one of them asked. "Lost," the planchette spelled out. "Lost? Lost where?" Emily questioned. "Between worlds." The room grew colder, and the flickering candlelight seemed to waver. The group exchanged nervous glances, but their curiosity kept them rooted to the spot. They pressed on, asking more questions, their fingers trembling as they watched the planchette move with an otherworldly force. "What do you want?" Emily inquired, her voice barely above a whisper. "Release." The word hung in the air, heavy with a chilling implication. Emily felt a knot of unease tighten in her stomach. She glanced at her friends, their faces now pale with fear. They had crossed into a realm they didn't fully understand, and the consequences were becoming all too real. As the questions continued, the answers became more sinister. The entity claimed to be trapped, its words growing more desperate and pleading. The planchette moved faster, almost as if it was trying to escape the confines of the board. Emily's heart raced as a realization struck her. They had awakened something beyond their control. Suddenly, the planchette spelled out a single ominous word: "Run." The room plunged into darkness as the candles extinguished, and a bone-chilling wind swept through the air. Panic seized the group as they stumbled over one another, their footsteps echoing through the house. They burst through the front door and ran into the moonlit night, their breaths labored and hearts pounding. They gathered in the yard trying to catch their breath and make sense of the terror that had consumed them. Emily's gaze drifted to the house, and what she saw froze her in her tracks. The windows glowed with an eerie, pulsating light, and from within a haunting melody began to play, a distorted, otherworldly tune that seemed to seep into their very souls. The group stood paralyzed, their eyes locked on the house as the melody grew louder, resonating with an unnatural intensity. Shadows seemed to dance within the windows, contorting into grotesque shapes that sent shivers down their spines. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the music ceased, and the house fell into silence. As the first light of dawn began to break, the group mustered the courage to return to the house. They found the Ouija board exactly where they had left it, but something was different. The wood was cold to the touch, as if it held a lingering presence. The letters on the board seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Emily's eyes fell upon a single word spelled out on the board: "Thank you." The friends exchanged glances, their unease deepening. They had unknowingly unlocked a doorway to a realm beyond their understanding, a realm that demanded release. The events of that night had left an indelible mark, a reminder that some doors are best left unopened. Years later, Emily would still wake in the dead of night, the haunting melody echoing in her ears, the memory of that chilling encounter forever etched in her mind. The Ouija board had granted them a glimpse into the unknown, a glimpse that had left them forever scarred, wondering what secrets still lingered in the shadows of the old Victorian house. On the outskirts of town, nestled beneath ancient trees, stood a dilapidated cabin known by locals as the Widow's Shack. A sense of unease hung in the air around it, and tales of its haunting had spread like wildfire. Few dared to venture near, but a group of thrill-seekers decided to challenge the legends. Among them was Alex, a skeptic who scoffed at the notion of the supernatural. The group gathered in the cabin's dimly lit main room, the atmosphere heavy with apprehension. A battered Ouija board lay on the table, a relic of another time. Ignoring the warnings echoing in their minds, they placed their fingers on the planchette, ready to engage with the unknown. As they began to ask questions, the planchette moved with a life of its own, spelling out responses that sent shivers down their spines. The messages were cryptic, hinting at a darkness that had long clung to the cabin. Suddenly, the planchette shot towards the word leave, leaving them startled and on edge. Challenging the entity, Alex demanded proof of its presence. The planchette hesitated before spelling out a name: Clara. None of them recognized the name, but a feeling of heaviness settled in the room. Clara's answers grew increasingly sinister, revealing a tale of betrayal, heartache, and a vengeful spirit seeking retribution. Despite their unease, the group pressed on, hungry for answers. Clara's responses grew more intense, and the atmosphere in the cabin seemed to shift. Shadows danced along the walls, and an icy chill permeated the air. An unsettling energy seemed to pulse through the room, fueled by Clara's growing anger. Then, without warning, the planchette spelled out a single horrifying word: "Run!" Before they could react, the cabin plunged into darkness, the windows rattling as if struck by an invisible force. Panic seized the group as they fumbled for their flashlights, their hearts racing in the pitch-black abyss. In the midst of their chaos, they heard a blood-curdling scream that seemed to pierce through the night. The group bolted from the cabin, their breaths ragged and hearts pounding. The forest around them seemed to come alive with eerie whispers, a chorus of disembodied voices that seemed to mock their escape. They stumbled through the underbrush, driven by a fear that defied explanation. Hours later, they returned to the cabin in the pale light of dawn, their nerves still raw from the terror of the night. The Ouija board lay undisturbed on the table, a chilling reminder of their encounter. They stared at it in silence, haunted by the memory of Clara's vengeful presence. As they prepared to leave, the cabin seemed to shudder with an unseen force. A whisper echoed through the air, a chilling reminder that some secrets are better left buried. The group fled, their hearts heavy with a dread that would forever taint their memories of the widow's shack. Years later, Alex's skepticism had transformed into a wary belief in the supernatural. The events of that night had left scars that time could not erase. He still heard Clara's haunting whispers in his nightmares, a constant reminder that some echoes from the past are impossible to escape. The widow's shack stood as a testament to the thin veil between the living and the dead, a reminder that the world is full of mysteries that defy explanation. And as the years passed, the cabin's legacy lived on. A cautionary tale whispered around campfires and a chilling reminder that some horrors are best left undisturbed.